All protocols are observed. I would like to welcome all the chairpersons of the committees and honorable members in this joint meeting that joined the Committee on Transport, Industry, Communication, Science and Technology, and also the Committee on Trade, Customs and Immigration Affairs, and also the Committee on Education, Culture, Tourism, and Human Resources. Greetings to all of you, and greetings to the support staff and the interpretation team, the dignitaries, also the experts. In my name, Lamali Bahja, and in your name, honorable members, we would like to congratulate the Djibouti for assuming the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, and I also would like to congratulate my country, Algeria, for assuming the position of the deputy chairperson of the African Union Commission. I would also like to congratulate Chad for entrenching the democratic course and renewing the trust for Amina Al-Idrisi, Deputy Chairperson of the Committee on Transport. Welcome all of you, and let us all stand for a silent prayer that is dedicated to the souls of the Palestine martyrs and for every free man and woman who will never accept dictations from the Zionist entity. Let us observe a moment of silence for this country and for the martyrs of Palestine. Thank you.
Unlike other global markets where technology and adoption is widespread, Africa contains its own realities, where lower internet penetration, high levels of illiteracy, and economic disparities that limit access to smartphones that have really shown as actors as a corridor to possibilities of revenue generation and change, still face challenges for the masses. These challenges, however, are not roadblocks, we believe. They are opportunities for inclusive innovation, and this is where ourselves as private sector players and experts in the space have to step up, and hence being grateful for being here. At Yango, we believe that technology's power lies not just in moving people, but in transforming lives. Our approach recognizes digital divide that exists across Africa, and we understand that the adoption rates are influenced by age, by gender, by geography, and economic factors. So therefore, we are here to discuss and to ensure that our mission to not leave anyone behind is not just heard, but executed on. Our model is designed with inclusivity in mind, where we don't just onboard drivers, we empower them. We don't displace with technology, we use technology to empower. We train many of whom have never owned smartphones before, on how we use digital tools, how we read maps, how we interact with technology confidently, and that has a ripple effect in the rest of their lives and how they can grow in this digital era. In doing so, we don't just help them earn, we help them build sustainable livelihoods and provide for families. But the impact doesn't stop there. Ride-hailing platforms such as our own play a vital role in formalizing the informal economy. Through automated tax systems, real-time revenue tracking, and also secure transactions, there's really a space for creating a new dawn for Africa. We contribute to national treasuries through the sector that we contribute in, driving economic growth. In countries such as Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia, we've already seen increased tax revenue and improved financial inclusion as more people join the digital workforce and the gig economy. And yet, there's still so much more to do. This is why the role of regional bodies such as yourselves, the Pan-African Parliament and the African Union are so critical. By working together to harmonize regulations, to streamline cross-border operations, and to support digital literacy programs, we can unlock the full potential of the gig economy. Together, we can create policies not only for fostering competition and safety, but also to empower the vulnerable and the unconnected. The future of mobility in Africa is digital, it is inclusive, it is transformative. But this future will not build itself. It needs collaborations such as these. It requires vision, it requires partnership, and a shared commitment to empowering communities. With Yango, we are not just driving people, as I said. We are driving forward progress. We are making Africa move forward. And really, this is just showing how the app itself works. Secondly, we'll be exploring regulatory frameworks for sustainable growth. We'll be discussing countries that do have the frameworks, countries that do not have the frameworks, and what we can do to fast-track that. Then we'll also be doing sort of a comparative of what happens in countries that don't have the frameworks and how we can hold hands and partner to expedite that process. Then we will also look into aspects of bridging the knowledge divide, and really, if I were to give an umbrella of what we're here for as Yango, is to establish a relationship where we can fast-track the regulations on the continent and ensure that we're protecting the vulnerable populace who utilize our platforms for revenue generation. We will also look into aspects of competition and antitrust laws on digital platforms. As we know that this is not a topic that has been popularized, that has been deep dived in, and we will then open this up to really have a knowledge sharing session where we can learn from the parliamentarians and the different localities they come from, and where ourselves as experts and players in the sector can also share knowledge. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
And the commitment that characterizes us. And before we move to the main topic, I'd like to provide you with a bit of background on the e-hailing sector in South Africa to help you understand how the sector has evolved over the years. And its evolution and its impact in the South African economy is undeniable. First, the sector has grown tremendously, and it has been an impressive rate of growth. And the market today represents over $1 billion. That is at 2025, and it is projected to increase to $3 billion by 2030. That means that within 5 years, the value will triple. Secondly, this sector has an impact, an undeniable impact on the economy. In 2023, here in South Africa, Uber, who's the leader, directly contributed to over $17 billion to the South African economy, which represents about 3.5% of the transport sector GDP, transport and communication sector. And this is all thanks to innovation, research, development, and investment, which contributed to South Africans, tourists, business people, in a nutshell, all people who rely on e-hailing services to move around, e-hailing services provided by companies such as Uber. To this date, over 21% of South Africans use e-hailing platforms for mobility. And this is important to understand, and this is over a third of the population. Now, the impact on the African continent. The situation in South Africa is pretty similar everywhere across the continent. The growth of the sector is undeniable, and it represents to this day $5 billion across the continent, and the growth is projected to be around $10 billion by 2030. You can see that in about 5 years, the market will double with an annual growth of about 16%. And of course, this can be seen in the economy as well. In 2023, the leaders, which are Uber, Bolt, and us, Yango, contributed $3.5 billion to the African economy across the continent, which represents 4% of the GDP contributed by the transport and logistics sector. In addition, we were adopted by 18% of the urban population of the continent. This demonstrates the impact of e-hailing services. They have significantly contributed to transforming the transport sector on the African continent. Who is Yango? I think you all know us very well. We are a leader in technology on mobility and transport, and we are present across the world, but particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, and we exist to facilitate urban mobility by connecting millions of people and providing economic opportunities to various populations. Our role in the digital economy is undeniable, and it manifests itself in various forms. We have truly revolutionized urban mobility in Africa by enabling and providing a service, a mobility service, which is safe, affordable, abordable, and which is provided at a financial cost, which is accessible to the population, and that has contributed to reducing urban congestion in African cities. Let's take the example of Côte d'Ivoire, and we have been present in that country since 2018. That's been 6 years. So in Côte d'Ivoire, 6 years ago, to have a taxi which will transport you from A to B, it was very complicated. You need to engage in a negotiation, wait, and be provided with a receipt which reflects the time and various other information. But with Yango, mobility has been facilitated. Through an application, you can order a taxi from the comfort of your home, and of course provide feedback to those who can follow your trip. We have also contributed to the improvement of logistics. We have a delivery service which has been a great contributor to the development of small SMEs, and which could not access very expensive logistics services, and they were not able to deliver their products through the traditional delivery companies. With our company, we've been able to provide them with a way to grow. And in terms of our contribution to the economy, the gig economy, we'll talk about that a bit later, some more. Yango, for example, doesn't only contribute to employing drivers and delivery people. It creates a whole lot of other jobs, and which creates economic opportunities which cannot be denied. And these have had an important impact in the various countries where we are present. And also, as far as security and innovation is concerned, this is an aspect that we will look into in more details, but it's a huge part of our activities. The fact that our activities can be tracked in real time, the trip, the payments, and the working methods, we have been able to provide through our applications to provide trust on the part of customers, or should I say users, as well as drivers and delivery people. And of course, the job creation aspect is important here, especially as far as drivers and delivery people are concerned, or couriers. And we also contribute to promoting foreign direct investment. And Yango has contributed to the establishment of local transport companies, delivery companies, and also vehicle manufacturers and distributors, as well as contributed to the further development of the banking sector and financial sectors. So it's a huge contribution to local economies, and we truly do contribute to the development and economic growth of various sectors of the economy, as well as the transport value chain. And this is who we are, this is our impact, this is our engagement, basically everything that we achieve on a daily basis on the market, and would like to tell you more about that. And today we're here to talk about regulation. And why? Simply because, as you might have guessed, Yango is a recent business. 10 years ago, this did not exist on the continent, and you have also guessed that 31%, one of the figures that I mentioned, represents the number of Africans that use our platforms. Therefore, it is important to understand how these businesses operate so that they are better regulated. It is truly important, and to this day, whether fortunately or unfortunately, we are here today because this market is not sufficiently or adequately regulated. We are present in Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia. There are a number of activities currently going on, and some countries have legislation.
But the fourth one that has been not mentioned is the difference between the glorification of gig economy and the magnitude of the exploitation of people who serve in that for very long hours and limited remuneration. So could you say something about, because I've read work elsewhere in the world, in places like India, and what this has been doing. And so it's on the one hand welcome opportunities for people who possibly are unemployed, and particularly young people. But the long-term effects of this on these young people in terms of exploitation and whatnot, you have been silent about that. So could you say something about that? Thank you.
To sincerely congratulate the presenters. I think we've had a very clear and exciting presentation. My question is on the safety of users, safety and security of users. In one of the presentations, I understood that in Zambia and Cote d'Ivoire, at the legislative level, everything is fine, but in some other countries where the product is sold, is already being used, where Yango exists, the legislative system, the legal system or regulation.
My name is Roman. I'm an antitrust lawyer at Yango. I supervise the compliance of our businesses with competition legislation in different regions, including African countries. Let me once again thank you for participating in such an event and letting me share with you my ideas. I find very important that the competition legislation in digitalized economies. Now on the screen is a short overview of our discussion, which I suggest dividing in 4 main blocks. Firstly, we shall touch on what the basis for digitalization is, how much African countries set for the successful digitalization. Secondly, more direct topic. In what ways does digitalization benefits economy, with example from our own practice? Third, I suggest discussing the competition regulation part, specifically competition legislation. We shall discuss the powerful sides of African competition legislations and what our potential weaknesses are, how they can be addressed. what direction may national, regional competition legislation take to be more effective in digital age? Finally, I will present you with some interactive part in which I would like you to actively participate, if I may say so. As a basis for my presentation, I chose the strategy for digital transformation 2020-2030 developed by African Union. As you can see on the slide, the mentioned strategy indicated specific pillars for successful digital integration. Environment, policy and regulation, then digital infrastructure, then digital skills and human capacity, then digital innovation and entrepreneurship. Let's stop at each one for a little. In regard for digital infrastructure, according to World Bank research, Africa is well prepared for digitalization. General internet penetration increased more than twice in the span of 5 years. Internet speed is rocketing too. This indicates quite developed technical floor for digital service emerging. Then we have Africa as a continent with the youngest population based on median age. The consequential problem with that is the generally high youth unemployment rate, which at the same time indicates that there are spare human resources that can be used in the economy, especially if provided with minimum digital skills to effectively start or participate in businesses. The same strategy of African Union has set up various ideas on fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, being startups encouragement, strengthening of IP rights, facilitation of private sector development, and the last one I want to stress the most, to increase public awareness of opportunities that digitalization brings and how can an individual benefit from it. The same African Union now for the value that digitalization brings to the table, I depicted the obvious benefits and have supplemented them with different researches. In the meantime, should anyone need the copy of the presentation, send to them to look it and attach the researchers more thoroughly, please let me know, and also let me know the mail to which shall I send the presentation. We have briefly touched the value of digitalization, but I want us to go a little deeper and discuss on why do they even appear in the first place. As you may see on the slide, I visualized the concept of a digital platform, which is a must part in every digital economy. Digital platforms are the infrastructure that uses digitalization process to the most, allowing different groups of users to interact with each other to trade information, sell goods, provide services. At the same time, digital platforms foster competition between goods or services providers themselves. Since I'm an antitrust lawyer, I want to stress that healthy competition, both between on-platform merchants and also between digital platforms themselves, is one of the obligatory parts for the market to be developing. Let us go to one of the most interesting parts, being how traditional markets are being transformed when introduced to digital infrastructure. The first one is classified advertisement platforms. Do you remember those old magazines which offered you to publish your advertisement on page like 34 out of 100? When I was little, in my hometown there was a magazine which name was From One Hands to Others, which published once a month and was like a couple hundred pages long and resembled a telephone book. At that time, everyone thought that this is a way of making advertisement was okay. No one questioned the said magazine would publish only once a month. Therefore, very limited timetable to submit an advertisement, and that the person would need to search for the specific ad through the magazine, which once again looked more like a book. But now, due to the digitalization, we can have more effective, more simple ways to share our ads. On this slide, I provide the example of our service Buy and Sell, which piloted in Ivory Coast, Ghana and Zambia around mid-end 2024. But on the status of January 2025, this service has pretty much solid statistic on monthly active users and number of SMEs who regularly publish their offers. Considering how easy it is now to create and disseminate advertisement offers via such services, I doubt that we would want to return back to paper magazines, which from our modern times look very limited in their functionality. Another example is of a market transformed that I want to present you is the market for food delivery. Please see on the screen a very brief scheme on how does digital platform, if introduced to the market, levels up different processes and speeds up the interaction of different parties. As an example of said market transformation, I asked my colleagues from business department to provide different benefits to express how different SMEs, how different restaurants are benefiting from being present on our service on Yango Delhi, which is also present in different African countries. Now we come to the main part, the normative material. First of all, I would like to praise African competition legislation a little. It is generally very easy to work with from business side. It's generally quite well detailed, and there are also different regional competition law regimes that may add to the local legislation. Also, it was quite bad of me not to mention that there is also African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement on competition policy, which was devised in 2023, and one of the ultimate goals of which is to harmonize the local legislation.
In the previous presentation, you say that Yango does not go directly to drivers. It comes through transport companies, which must be local transport companies, I assume. So we wanted to know the structure, the relationship, how is it done? And maybe in addition, let me put in the other complexity that we also have in Kenya, where every workers in every sector have their own unions. Even if we have a transport company in between the driver and Yango, do you anticipate a time when the drivers will have their own union for their own rights? I ask this because some other companies came in and drivers, like it is in Senegal, were complaining and they did not know how to behave because they did not have a union for their rights. In Kenya, we encourage unions for anything, including motorbikes now, so that people's rights are not abused.
Sellers connect to buyers and help them, like for sellers, to demonstrate the goods, the services that we want to sell. For buyers, for potential contact, as you see on the right screen depicted on the slide, to contact the seller, and they then in the chat discuss the price, discuss the like additional criteria for how the goods shall be delivered, and so forth. As far as I know, on the current status, we are not yet helping in delivery process. We are not yet act as intermediary between it, but I think we would, at the some moment of the time, would also introduce the functionality on that side. I hope I answered your question in full.
Si je peux compléter, en fait, ce qu'il faut comprendre, c'est que
If I could add something, you must understand that the delivery service is different, and the standby service is there to bring together services available in various countries. On the e-commerce side, we are present in Côte d'Ivoire and Zambia, and to be more complete, in Côte d'Ivoire, we have about 6 services available: the taxi, the delivery service, the e-commerce, the sell and buy. the fintech. We also have a photo services as well as business-to-business services. You can see that Yango is truly a technology platform, and through our ecosystem we provide a platform which enables buyers and sellers to come together, and you can see that technology is at the service of the various users of the platform. And to this day, our partners are at the center of our activities. Without them, we cannot operate. It's very important to know to rely on SMEs, local transport businesses, and these partners, whether for the courier services or the taxi services, they must be registered businesses. And in Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal, there are a number of legislation criteria to adhere to, and they must be compliant for them to become partners. And such partners invest in cars or motorbikes and recruit drivers or couriers as well.